Welcome to the Sports Philanthropy Podcast. I am your host, Roy Kessel, and today we are very excited to have with us special guest Adam Andrasko. Adam is the CEO of USA Artistic Swimming, and we're going to learn some really interesting information about the organization as well as their foundation and the great work that they're doing. So, Adam, thank you for being with us and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Roy. Appreciate you having me. It's a good thing that you and I got a chance to meet on a golf course a few years back, and now we get to connect here on the pod. So thanks a lot.
So, Adam, one of the things that we like to do is people get involved in so many different ways into the sports world. So take us back to your earliest memories of sports and what got you excited about sports as a kid.
Yeah, I'm one of those stories that I have really good parents and they put me in sports early, whether it was just to get me active or socialize me. It really ended up being all of the above, and little did they know, right, it would have become my career. But I'm from small town USA. I live about 20 minutes, grew up 20 minutes west of State College, Pennsylvania, and people know Penn State and Happy Valley, but just outside of there is a lot of really little small towns. So I grew up in a town of 550 people. I graduated high school with 76 kids. That's what it's all about. And because of that, I had the fortune to play 3 sports and be a full-time starter in 3 sports. So I played baseball, football, and wrestling. And in those 3 orders, that's how I enjoyed sports too. Played some soccer growing up, did some other fun things. My mother put me in tap dance. And so it's just a well-rounded sports experience that I had. And for me, football took over, right? And from high school, I got the opportunity to play in college and played 4 years at Lock Haven University of Pennsylvania, where we had some tough moments in time, but I had a lot of learnings from that. I captained the team my senior year there. So it's a sports life that just kept building on itself for me.
So you had experience with a lot of different sports. It's one of the things we hear frequently these days is that kids are concentrating too much in one sport. When you go back to that stage, which was the sport that made you fall in love with sports?
Yeah, I say it all the time, and people are like, "Really? That's the answer?" And for me, it's baseball. And I usually, because I lead with what I just said, right? I played college football, and that obviously took a big piece of my life and that helped me learn in many different ways. But I've always had this big building passion for baseball. And me and my closest friends growing up, we played a lot of backyard ball, and it was easy for us, and it just kept building and building. And if I could have been good enough to play in college, I would have played baseball before football for sure. But it's not how it worked out for me. But that sport, from the time I was playing t-ball at 6 years old to even today, is the one that leads.
Well, and it's interesting because it seems that very frequently people fall in love with one sport, and as you said, that may not be the one that can take them furthest on their journey, but it's something that got them engaged in that lifestyle and love of competition and everything that goes along with it. When did you first get the idea that sports was something that might be a career beyond playing for you?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question for me. I went to college, thinking that I wanted to be a biologist. Yeah. So I spent 3 semesters as a biology major and really started to look around and realize there's something more here that I can do in the sports field. And I found that there was a sport management major at my university, and pretty quickly realized this is something that I really, really want to pursue and go after. And I did. So the challenges of being a biology major, it's a really hard major, right? To what I really wanted to do in my life kind of intersected in my sophomore year of college, and made a decision that probably freaked my parents out a little bit at the time, but I went for it, and here we are some years later.
So when you were picking schools, obviously, then you were picking from the biology side might have been what motivated you to make that selection. Um, when you looked at the sport management major, you know, that's in the scheme of academics, that's relatively a new field that hasn't been around as long. Talk a little bit about what went into that decision.
Yeah, I should first clarify. Lockhaven pretty much picked me with the football situation. That's what took me in that direction and gave me the best opportunity to go to college. Coming from where I come from, that's really a first step. It's not as though I was getting to pick and choose from a bunch of different schools. And so, but biology had its connection. As far as what sport management was at that time, right? I'll age myself now. I'm 40. That was the really early days of a lot of sport management programs. Same at Lockhaven, University of Pennsylvania. I was in its second year when I entered into the program. And one of the unique parts about it is that we really got to develop the program with the professors as students. And that was fun. For me, though, I could see that there was an opportunity here for me to do something that was unique. And what I thought unique was, at that point in time, was college athletics. That's really what I knew. That's what I was seeing. That's what I was living. And I believed that I wanted to be a college athletic director, really making a difference in the life that I was living in that moment in time. Clearly, the path took a different direction, but that's where I initially believed that sport management was going to take me.
So as you went through that career track, right, you had an opportunity to play sports in college and play football, and you go through that degree in sports management. When you started that, is this where you thought you would end up, or were there different things that were lighting your fire at that point?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions. People typically ask, how did you end up in artistic swimming, right? Because if you ask 21, 22-year-old me, college football player, to clarify, because I get the question next, what position did you play? Right? I played middle linebacker, weighed about 240, weighed in this morning probably about 190. So completely different lifestyle, completely different person at this point in time in my life. But no, I didn't think that this is where I would be. And I had no real belief that Olympic sports even was in my future. And again, like, I was, okay, college athletics, this is cool. I'm living it. I want to be, whether it's connected to a football program or the AD at any major institution, that's where my pie in the sky ideas were. Things were trending in that direction for me. I got an internship with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, which at that time was growing. It was going to build out to a 17-team Division II league. And that's what Lockhaven participated in. And then I went to grad school because I knew that if I wanted to be an AD, I had to get a master's degree, right? Like, that was programmed and plugged into me. And so I got a GA position with a small college athletic conference called U.S. Collegiate Athletic Association. I loved the USCAA. This was building in my heart and in my passion. And then it was that. So again, I already aged myself, so I can go to where that timeline is. That's 2008, 2009. And the economy just went, right? And to find a job in any athletic department, any sports realm was a real challenge. Any paying job was an extreme challenge. I tell the story that I know for a fact that I applied for 100 jobs, whether it was an intern job up to a pie in the sky, manager level job at that point in time. I got 2 interviews, one at Villanova and one at the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And I think the rest you can tell is pretty history from there, right? That it's just right time, right place, right moments. Those things, as you reflect on your life, they happen. And, some people do believe that everything happens for a reason, but when I reflect on my career path, there's no doubt to me everything happens for a reason. And so I packed up my car for the first time in my life. I had been west of the Mississippi, drove from Pennsylvania to Colorado Springs, and I spent 8 months as an intern. It's figuring it out, enjoying it, learning, and then my passion for Olympic sport just grew, and it took off and consumed me.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about that journey, right? A lot of times we see it both ways. People are dead sure on what they want to do and they know exactly what direction they're going until they get there and they realize it's not as fun or as interesting as they thought it might be. And then the exact opposite of as you said, where you went out there and really built that passion and excitement with that opportunity, and you've been in that Olympic world ever since.
Yeah, my sentiment to everybody is you don't know where this thing is going to take you, and hold on tight, but enjoy the ride, because it can take you in some really unique and cool places. And now, as I reflect, I don't want it any other way. My hat's off to everybody who works in college sports. I do not want to work in college athletics right now. It's a scary space, but we need great people and great leaders to work in that space. So I'm really proud of them, but we need the same in Olympic sports. And for me, just this international connectivity, this nationalized opportunity that I have in Olympic sports, specifically in artistic swimming right now, I can't be appreciative enough. I'm so glad of the way that the world moved me.
So I want to turn now to the work that you're doing there at artistic swimming. I think it's a sport that people don't know a lot about, right? It's not, as you talked about, people oftentimes coming out of the sports management majors, right? Their ideas are, I want to work in one of the major sports or in Division I college athletics. And there's so many other opportunities around the sports world. And as you were involved in a number of different levels. So what ultimately attracted you to artistic swimming?
Artistic swimming found me. We again, these intersections of life and time and opportunities, they're very real. And I worked for the Olympic Committee for 6 years, and in my brain, that's the mothership, right? Like that's the best Olympic program in the entire world. You're in your 4 years. After 4 years, we do great work. It's exciting, right? It's flag 5 rings. It's Olympic Kool-Aid, whatever you want to call it, it's there. And I was really loving that. But I got to a point where I got ceilinged in my role at the Olympic Committee and probably in the progression of my opportunities through and up into the organization. And my mentor at that point in time said, why don't you take a look at a national governing body? And like most, I was like, really? You want me to leave the Olympic Committee to go take this opportunity? And he said, yeah, well, you'll get more responsibility. You'll learn a lot more. It'll diversify you. And he couldn't have been more right. So that's my shout out to making sure you find yourself a mentor, because it was key to me. And so I took an opportunity, leap of faith on myself, but really Simon Hoskins at USA Field Hockey at that time took an opportunity on me and helped me learn and grow and develop and put me in positions at USA Field Hockey where I could do those things. And we were quite successful together, and we built with the whole team at USA Field Hockey some really good things, whether it was on the national team program and events and membership. I got my hands in a lot of things. And after nearly 3 years at field hockey, this job came open at artistic swimming. And I tell the story that I was smart enough, young enough, cheap enough, and probably overconfidently naive enough to take this job. Artistic swimming at that time, USA synchronized swimming to be exact, was in a tough position financially, governance-wise, internal turmoil with staff and national team program. And I mean, they couldn't afford anybody, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways. I took a $90,000 a year job, which for me at that time, was a $30,000 pay raise. I was like, yeah, let me go on the record saying no CEO in the NGB space should be paid less than probably $200,000, but definitely not less than $100,000, because these jobs consume so much of your time and so much of your energy, and it's high stakes for a lot of people. But that's how it found me, and I found it all at the same time. I tell a fun joke, but it's real, is that I mentioned to you earlier that my mom put me in tap dance, right? So now I can do counts of 8 like they do in artistic swimming. My mother is a beautician. So I sat around the beauty salon quite a bit, learning and hanging out. And then I have 2 sisters and my mom in the house. So it was me and my dad with 3 ladies. And as you may or may not know, artistic swimming, it is 99.4% female. And so I went from field hockey, which is the second most female-centric sport, Olympic sport in the country, to artistic swimming, which is the most female-centric sport. And people say, well, why is a man at the top? And honestly, I say that sometimes too, but I reflect back and I say, hey, right time, right place, and I'm going to give it everything I got.
So now you get thrown into the fire, so to speak, and you're in this role. You mentioned a few of the challenges. Take us through the process a little bit as you got in there, in terms of how you approached resolving everything. Things can't be cleaned up overnight. So how did you approach the process of elevating the whole organization?
Yeah, so this goes back to field hockey. Everything that I learned and we executed over nearly 3 years in field hockey, the goods and the bads, I took it with me and I brought it over to artistic swimming. That's what I think a lot of people don't quite realize within the Olympic movement is we're all very, very similar organizations, membership-based organizations, executing national championship level events and running national team programs. And because we're on the Sports Philanthropy Podcast here, right, running foundations. And those are, really 4 keys to what we do. And you mix in some other components, sponsorship, insurance policies, now very important to us, safe sport and ethics compliance, all of those things. You bring them together, you got a national governing body. But what you can do by running good governance and running good businesses and making sure that the staff is right, you can do those things. A lot of people can run businesses like that. But what you have to get right, and this is where we started and we still continue to work every single day, is making the culture as good as it can possibly be. And so when we started with culture, right, it was really from the ground up. I knew that we had to do a reset at the national team level. We had to do a reset at the club level, which is the membership and the foundation of everything that we do. And it really started talking in a positive manner. You started having confidence and you started to build consistency at national championships. You started to show up and be present. My position was there and active and ready to communicate. You ensured that the sport was as safe as you could possibly get it by observing, by learning, by listening. And what has happened over the course of really the last decade and a little bit less in all of Olympic sports is we have really leaned in to letting the athletes be a part of what we do. And it sounds funny by letting the athletes be part of what we do. We live and we exist to serve the athletes. Like that is what our business is. But they weren't being brought into the tough conversations, right? They weren't being active as a board member or asked to be active as a board member. They were seen as athletes in many cases. And we've evolved significantly from that. And I really think that was core to what our change was our athletes talk to us as leaders. They talk to their club leads all the time. And it's evolved to the point where they have the strength, they have the opportunity to speak. And because of that, we've evolved the culture. And that's what I'm most proud of. You can talk about increasing revenues by $1 million. We've done that. You can talk about the first Olympic medal in 20 years. Those are awesome things. I'm so proud of them. But when I lay my head down at night and ultimately when I leave artistic swimming, I want to make sure that this culture that's within this sport is healthy.
And so it sounds like you've done an amazing job there. Now you're coming up on 7-year anniversary of being in that role. What do you see on the horizon here for the next 2 or 3 years? We've got another Olympic cycle coming up, right? Obviously in 28 here in LA. What's on the horizon for artistic swimming?
Yeah, this is a never rest on success situation. So in the last year, and we just celebrated the Olympic silver medal just last week, 3 days ago, was the 1-year anniversary of the Olympic silver medal. Today is the completion of the Olympic Games, right? It's been 1 year since closing ceremony as of today. And so it's been building for this last year, right? What we've done, but you continue now because we were looking back and using the leverage of the silver medal, and now we're starting to look ahead. We did a good job at staying strong at World Championships. We just ended those 2 weeks ago, and we're going to continue to build on that. And now we're looking really forward, right? LA 28 going to be the greatest games that we've ever seen. This is really, for me, undeniable because we have to deliver on that. We have to deliver as national governing bodies. We have to deliver as Olympic Committee. LA as an organizing committee has to deliver. And as a country, we do. And the fan base, I know, will be there, the excitement, the energy, the interest. And so how can we, as an organization, this is not just artistic swimming, this is all Olympic sports, maximize our opportunities? How can we grow sport? How can we grow popularity? How can we become more visible? How can we maximize our fundraising efforts? How can we increase our sponsorships? Those are the questions that I'm asking myself, and I'm asking my employees every single day. And they're all right there in front of us. We just have to reach out, grab them, and maximize it. So there's no slowdown here. There's actually, the train's going a lot faster.
Now, you mentioned earlier incorporating the foundation, and tell us a little bit more about how the Artistic Swimming Foundation is set up, and about Amanda that leads that initiative, and some of the things that you're planning together for the foundation.
Yeah, well, thanks, Roy. And I mean, that's where our conversation started to set this podcast up, and I'm really, really happy that we can talk about it. And I say this openly across not just artistic swimming, but all Olympic sports, to any person who might be interested in joining a foundation board or board of trustees, whichever they refer to them as. This is the biggest opportunity to make a sport better in the Olympic space that there is. It is undoubtable to me. We've done good in sponsorship. We've done well in membership. You can build those things out, but those are hard builds. Those are hard asks. And not to say that philanthropy is not, but this is the opportunity to change everything. And I say it in a very simple manner to most people who will listen to me. We as an organization need $250,000 more dollars. And if we're $250,000 richer, right, that puts us at a $3 million organization. That's it. I know. $3 million. We'll be solidified. We'll be very strong. We'll be able to deliver the best to our national team athletes. We'll be able to deliver the best to our coaches, our age group athletes, our judges, our fans. That's what we need. And it doesn't sound like much, but it is. It's significant. And that's where we're really going to focus on philanthropy. You mentioned Amanda. Amanda's the executive director. She's done a great job. She's been in the role for a year and a half now. She continues to evolve and grow her skill set. And that's really what we've been focusing on. Now it's time to reach out and be great. And so what we're looking for is to grow our trustee group by 5. It's that time of year. September the 5th, we'll have elections. September the 6th, we'll have elections for 5 new trustees. And those 5 trustees will be key in helping us immediately all the way in and through LA 28. And so there's a lot of people out there that don't really know how they're going to get involved in LA 28, or they want to get involved in sport, whether it's artistic swimming or other. For me, obviously, I'm selfish and I love artistic swimming. So think about artistic swimming if you're listening to this podcast. But This is your opportunity to get connected to a sport that can deliver an experience for you in LA 28 that is as unique as possible. Whether that is just by you helping raise money to support athletes who become Olympians and hopefully medalists, likely medalists in many of our cases, or it's just because you want to get connected to this Olympic Games feel. These opportunities are right there in front of you, and there's 30 national governing bodies that will compete in the Summer Olympic Games, and every single one of them has a foundation. You asked me, Roy, how our foundation got started and what's the size of it, things like that. I mentioned the executive director. She leads the way. She reports to me and to the trustees mutually. But the trustees and the foundation were all introduced after the LA Games of '84. Every single national governing body who participated in those Olympic Games from the United States of America received a $1.1 million endowment. That endowment for most has grown to nearly $4 million if you just basically left it alone and kind of spent the dividends here and there. And that's what our foundation has done. They've done a really good job of fostering that money, using it to develop the grassroots, provide grants, and support the national team programs where needed. And they continue to do that. But our initiatives have changed. I mentioned we need an additional revenue of $250,000 annually. And we need trustees who have a good Rolodex, who have interest in donating themselves, who have interest in helping us develop opportunities to expand who we connect with and energize that base about what artistic swimming is. So again, we're looking for 5 trustees to get voted on, to be nominated, and then get voted on at our upcoming convention.
Well, it's certainly an amazing opportunity, as you said, for anybody that's in that role to be on the inside when we get to LA 28 and have some incredible opportunities and access both directly for artistic swimming and the events that you're involved with, as well as the larger games. Again, congratulations, Adam, on what you've built up. Obviously, as you said, there's still a little bit of a way to go and build up that endowment and that operating budget. And it sounds like bringing Amanda on has been a great help for that vision and opportunity to grow and change lives along the way. So we appreciate you taking the time and sharing all of that insight with us today.
Hey, thank you, Roy. I appreciate you giving me the chance to share my passion for, number one, artistic swimming. I am the biggest fan. I tell people that all the time. I just have the also honor and blessing to be the CEO, and it's a fun opportunity for me to travel the world, to be connected to people who care so much about this sport. But then I get the opportunity to look around and see all my colleagues doing great things across all sport in this country. And we affect everything from the bottom grassroots level all the way up. And it's helped me reach out and connect to some spaces. I'm on the board of the National Council of Youth Sports. I get connected with the Association of Chief Executives of Sport. That's how you and I got connected, Roy. This is an awesome thing. Olympic sport, we change lives. And with philanthropy, we're going to change even more lives. I can feel it coming.
Well, Adam, keep up that great work. And just for a little bit of fun before we let you go, we want to put you on the spot a bit, take you out of your CEO role there at Artistic Swimming and give you the opportunity to be commissioner of any sport. So tell us what sport you would like to take charge of.
Yeah, this is that moment in time, right, where it's like, which of these sports that I love the most do I pick? And I want to first say artistic swimming, and I'm not going anywhere. So right now, that's my focus. That's everything for me. And I know my buddy Rich Bender is thinking you should say wrestling. I officiate wrestling all winter long. I do love it. He's doing so great there, and he doesn't need me talking about anything that he's doing over there. Baseball, Paul Seiler, that guy is awesome. Been there for 30 years. Just keeps building it up. So I'm not going to mess with what USA Baseball is doing either. But this USA football thing, right? I mean, Scott Hollenbeck and what they're doing there, what he's done and achieved is cool. but now they have this Olympic chance, right? And this just sparks my energy and interest so much. So I have to say, I want to stay in the Olympic movement. I want to talk about football because you can go pro level and you can go Olympic level. It's this really beautiful mix right now. And is there anything that I would specifically change? I think that they're doing amazing work over there, right? But it will always be, for me, if I can get into any job, I want to make that culture better. And I'm not for one second saying that the culture at USA football is off. That's not at all what I'm saying. But we can always make culture better, right? We can make the sport of football safer. We can make it more enjoyable. We can publicize it more. Flag's doing that. And this is going to be a really cool watch. You watch these it's been 5 years since it was announced, and the build that they will go. Look around. Look at your high school sports right now. The introduction of flag for girls is tremendous. The introduction for flag, even for boys, is a big deal. And look, football gave me a lot, and I want to give back to it. And that's where my heart and mind goes. So if the opportunity ever comes to fruition, maybe one day, but right now I'm so fixated and focused on artistic swimming and making us great.
Well, Adam, thank you for joining us today. It was great to learn more about the incredible work you're doing at Artistic Swimming and that you're working on with Amanda at the foundation. And we look forward to seeing how we can help support those efforts as you continue to build and grow. And for all of our viewers and listeners, we appreciate you taking time to join us on the Sports Philanthropy Podcast. I'm your host, Roy Kessel, signing off. Please remember to live generously. Thank you.